Have you ever watched the sunrise over the mighty Teton Range and stood in silent reverence as you watched the colors change? And have you smelled the sagebrush fresh from summer rain, or rode amidst the stillness of the vast Snake River Plain?
Cowboy poets remind us that here in the West it's still possible to live the life of a cowboy, to spend your days on the back of a horse, to ride the range in solitude, and of course to wear the outfit required of an icon of the Old West.
This is the only sport where you can go and you can see men talking about what they're going to wear and women talking about the guns they're shooting.
Outdoor Idaho explores the lives of the cowboys and the wannabes at home on the range.
Funding for Outdoor Idaho is made possible by the Friends of Idaho Public Television, by the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moores' legacy of helping to build the great state of Idaho, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Hard riding and fast shooting, heroic and brave, generous and good-natured, and tough as nails to boot. That's the image a lot of us have of the American cowboy. But more often than not, the harsh realities of range life made for a pretty lonely existence. Hi, I'm Bruce Reichert, and welcome to Outdoor Idaho. You know, out here in the West, we can still find cowboys tending cattle, men and women who are right at home on the range. The American cowboy, the hardscrabble hero of our nation's boldest legend. It's an image that lingers. Thanks to movies and television, cowboy poetry,
shooters set,
and staged events like these. The real heyday of the American cowboy, from after the Civil War until the 1880s, lasted less than a generation, due in part to Western settlement, barbed wire, and poor range management. But even today, thanks to the West's many acres of public lands, you can still find those hard-working, solitary figures on horseback, riding the range. In some ways, not much has changed out here. There are still plenty of long miles, still plenty of stubborn cattle. And if you talk to a cowboy long enough, chances are he'll tell you what he really thinks of those little dogies.
You gotta have something to be mad at. Cows can be very aggravating. They'll try you all the time.
With hats pulled low and dusters zipped high, Wallace Reed and his family ride the eastern Idaho range that provides their way of life. Fall is in the air, and the cattle are thick from the summer feast. It's time for a herd reunion.
Recognizing your cattle again when you see them, that's one of the things that I think probably every rancher likes. When they round up the cattle, they get to see the ones they know are theirs, you know, and say, well, I haven't seen that old son of a gun for a while.
Reed participated in his first roundup when he was 6 years old. He's 80 now and still riding the range, the patriarch of the roundup.
I'm surprised I'm still alive. I didn't want to get to be 80. I tell people now that if I'd have known I was going to live this long, I'd have done something really reckless when I was young. But I was careful then. Well, you have time to think about a lot of things, but mostly you just think about the badger holes and that cow that's going up over that hill. Why doesn't she turn, come the right direction so I don't have to go there either?
His daughter Debbie is a cowgirl in her own Western way.
Mom tried her hardest. She dressed me up like a Shirley Temple doll all the time, and I hated it. I hated it. I couldn't wait to get home and take all those scratchy, frilly dresses off so I could get my pants on and go with Dad. Dad always told me that you couldn't just be a fair weather cowgirl. You had to ride in weather like this too to be a real cowgirl. And I consider myself a real cowgirl.
Then there's Debbie's son and grandson, all moving the herd in an early season snowstorm. They weave through the desert landscape near Fort Hall Indian Reservation, berating the cattle into some kind of orderly fashion.
I just kind of holler whatever, but you know, you need to use your voice because they respond to that. Sometimes you can get a cow to turn with just your voice and you don't need to go over there. Some people might not appreciate the beauty, but there's a lot of beauty in an arid desert that we live in. The yellows and the browns and the reds this time of year is just unbelievably gorgeous. With the snow on the mountains, it's really pretty.
A cowboy, in my perception, I guess, is one like these guys down here that ride the range. They don't just go to the bar wearing the cowboy clothes.
My favorite thing is the openness and the spaciousness and the freedom of going and being and doing. And it's so much different than doing your work in a building. It's a real privilege to be out here.
He remembers long days on the trail now, the hard work and the blood, sweat, and tears, and how the ground shook at the thunder of the stampede of 2,000 steers. He remembers the storm-swollen rivers and the nights of wind and lightning and rain, and the thunder that rolled across heaven to come crashing down on the plains.
Cowboy poetry itself is nothing new. It's something that's been going on as long as there have been cowboys. That's a good kid.
Rudy Gonzalez has made a career out of putting to verse the lives of the cowboys.
It's based around horses and cattle, but it's also the lifestyle, the struggles, the humor. You want to come with me now? In the dusk of working cowboys comes a time to fill your cup, and together by the fire while the dishes gets washed up. Time to patch up your old rigging or lean back and roll a smoke while somebody tells a windy or somebody tells a joke, or some cowboy makes up verses to the tune of Wildwood Flower, and each tries to top the other, and it's called the Liar's Hour. Now I know it don't sound fancy, but it mends a cowboy's bones when he's been working cattle 1,000 miles from home.
In an economy that is squeezing the cowboy even harder than most, Rudy thinks there will always be a need for cowboys.
And as long as there's a cow, there'll be a cowboy.
And there will always be a nation interested in the cowboy way.
People want to be cowboys. I think the ethics, the day and age when it was very important for people to have a little respect for one another. It's something that the whole world looks at the American cowboy and emulates him. There are towns in other countries where they have cowboy villages, and they dress up like cowboys, and they all learn how to say y'all and practice being kind to each other if they're not shooting one another.
There are few towns more steeped in Western lore than Idaho City, one of the state's oldest communities. Gold brought miners and the rustic veneer of civilization into this basin in 1862. And back then, it was not unusual for gunfire to settle a dispute. On a warm summer day, gunshots are again echoing off the town's weathered buildings. The National Cowboy Fast Draw Competition is in town.
Several years ago, the Cowboy Fast Draw Association was formed, and all the equipment now you see was actually used in the Old West. Mexican loop holsters, guns that actually existed in the Old West, or reproductions are the only ones that are allowed. No modifications can be done to the guns.
Kel Elrich has been shooting competitively since the 1970s. He's actually won the World Fast Draw Championship 17 times.
What intrigues people is the romance and the legend of the Old West. We all know the legends, and people want to remember the American Old West, not so much maybe the way it really was, but the way they would like to think it really was. When the folks up here at Idaho City said they wanted to host the championship this year, we were all over that because the spirit in the Old West is so alive here.
It's a place Fast Draw participants have learned to call their own. This town is home base for the Idaho Shootists.
Shooters.
With over 100 members, it's the biggest club of its kind in the country. And Idaho City is also the international headquarters for the Cowboy Fast Draw Association.
This match here is representing 15 states and Canada, all coming here to our little town here in Idaho City. We kind of try to relive that time period between 1873 and about 1900. So this gives us a chance to play that game that we played when we was kids, only with wax bullets, and really be competitive with one another.
Set.
In this sport, speed and accuracy both count. You have to hit the target or you can lose to a slower but more precise shooter.
And no time on 4.
Unlike gunfights in the Old West, you get several chances here, but too many losses will take you out of the competition.
Lane 1 scores with a .749, no hit on 2.
And this is definitely an equal opportunity sport.
Well, the last competition was my do or die, literally, moment. Seriously bleeding, 3 X's, it's a 4X match. So I had to win in order to continue on in the competition.
It's 1-1.
When you get on the line, you think you're calm and cool, but your knees start shaking, and it's tough to be able to pull that gun and hit a target.
Round of elimination going to Fannie Mae. There you go, there you go. Come on now.
For Teresa and her husband John Long, Cowboy Fast Draw is a family affair. Even daughter Alyssa competes.
I really like it because I get to shoot with my parents, and it's a lot of fun. And it teaches me about gun safety and lets me know that to never really play with guns, but I can have fun with them as well.
As soon as she became old enough to shoot, she jumped right in there and said, yeah, I want to give this a shot. This is fun. And now she's one of the premier kid shooters.
The family not only shoots well, they also embrace the Western identities that participants assume during competitions. For the Longs, those characters are Sweet Pea, Blackjack, and Fannie Mae.
When you choose your alias, you're kind of choosing the personality you're going to have. Like a lot of the guys, it's an intimidation thing for them, dangerous something or other, or, quick draw somebody or other. So it is an alter ego. You have to take on that person.
Like they say, this is the only sport where you can go and you can see men talking about what they're going to wear.
How do I look? Is this my color?
And women talking about the guns they're shooting. It's a lot of fun, shooting the gun, having some competition, and getting to look spiffy while you do it.
And I've got 2 or 3 bunches of 3s and 4s, and I've got one bunch here of 6 that I'm trying to get headed your way now.
Dust rises as a helicopter drives the horses from above, while wranglers work the ground below. These wild horses are rough and tough, but then so are the cowboys. More than 30,000 wild horses roam the West's rangelands. With virtually no natural predators, herd sizes can double every 4 years. It's a costly and controversial process to control the size of these herds, but it does benefit the cattle that also use the range, as well as the native wildlife. And even though some horses do die during these roundups, government officials say it also benefits the wild horses.
The whole gather really brings a lot of mixed emotions. We really want the best for these horses. We want them to thrive in an ecological balance. But to do that, we have to manage them, and that can sometimes be difficult. We probably don't make anybody happy.
Since the passage of the Wild Horse and Burro Act in 1971, the Bureau of Land Management has been rounding up this herd near Challis to control its population. The range is healthiest with 200 horses on it, not the 400 that it often has.
They're extremely tough horses. They deal with the heat in the summer, the cold in the winter, the snow. They have injuries that go unattended to.
This Challis herd is made up of draft blood and true pony blood. It carries a lot of gray, some black, and a few paints. The horses receive vaccinations. The mares returning to the wild are given a fertility control drug, and the horses going to auction are branded.
BLM has found that this has been the best management tool that we have right now to be able to bring these horses off of the range and either adopt them or put them on long-term holding pastures that are back in the Midwest. It costs us a lot of money to do that, but that seems the most balanced approach right now.
As pack horses go, these Mustangs have feet so solid they don't need shoes. It's one of the reasons folks come to the auction. Besides, you never know what a wild horse is gonna do. The horses from the Challis herd huddled together in corrals at the fairgrounds in Blackfoot. They're a curiosity to the crowd. They're awkward, nervous. They're here to be adopted.
A wild horse has the instincts that any wild animal would have out in the wild to survive, and it's really strong, and you see that right on the start. Whereas domestic horses, they don't feel as much need to protect themselves when a human's around. The horse's first inclination is to flee.
The future of wild horses like this one depend in part on their ability to be tamed.
Naturally, they wouldn't want you to be there. They'd want to run.
And that's where Mario Johnson comes in. He's a regular on the wild horse adoption circuit.
And when he turns away, I want to discourage that.
The flash of a plastic bag triggers the interaction.
I'm always exposing the horse to something that it's afraid of to one degree or another.
The audience watches the pair dance around the outskirts of the circle as Johnson tries to get the horse to give him more than a sideways glance.
He's like, "What do I do? What do I do?"
He needs the horse to focus on him before he touches it with a rope or a halter.
I like the way different horses are to work with. I like how they smell. I like everything about them.
He's a horse trainer. You might even call him a horse whisperer. Johnson is easy to spot. He's the only guy inside the wild horse pen.
You've got to have a lot of respect for the horse or you can get hurt really easy. You know, if you're not respectful of them and what they're doing, what's going on, you can get into trouble. So, yeah, fear is something that protects me just like it protects the horse.
The BLM invites Johnson to the wild horse adoptions for one reason: to prove it's possible to mellow a Mustang.
It's neat because when you have a wild horse, it's like a blank canvas. You can just start painting right there. And maybe smelling me, you don't know until you get in a corral with them. And once you're there, they'll tell you faster than anything. But if it's one in there that is, kind of bouncing off the sides of the corral, then I get a little nervous.
The horse is already on full alert when Johnson starts pacing around the pen. Gradually, the horse really sees Johnson, and the rope starts grazing his back.
I try to really fit the horse. If it's one that's really flighty, really sensitive, I try to be calm and really low-key. If it's one that's kind of docile, then I might be more animated in my approach and use a little more things to get the horse to respond to me. He's checking that out, see? 99% of the time, you can get them to where they're usable for most people.
But that doesn't mean he saddles up and parades around for a grand showing.
If I took one that was a little easier and saddled him and rode him right here, then some people would think, oh, my horse is broke, and it's far from it. I do this for a living and I can move along pretty fast, but when the owner gets the horse, they're gonna have to start a lot slower.
The moment of potential between person and pony isn't as showy as a saddle ride, but it has subtle significance. It's the first time the horse reaches out. In this case, a slight brushing of muzzle to hand.
There's my first contact right there.
Initiated by the horse. Mario knows this Mustang is warming up to him, and he's only been in the corral for an hour.
It's all what's on the inside of the horse. You can find good ones and bad ones anywhere.
Let's face it, not everyone can be a real cowboy.
Yes, sir. I've never seen you look so purple.
Stand by!
But you can sure play one for a few hours on the weekend. And in eastern Idaho, there's no better place to do that than the Twin Butte Cowboy Shooting Range west of Rexburg.
There's a little bit of cowboy in everybody, and we like to bring that out. Sagebrush and everything you need, real cactus and all of that. It's a wonderful place, rocks. You just feel like you're at home in the Old West.
This Western-style movie set is the creation of
I'm gonna kill all them buffalo.
Dion Davenport, a.k.a. Twin Butte Curly. And it's about as authentic as Western recreations get.
I think it's worth it. I rely on what people say who come here, who do go all over. And they say this is the best in the West.
I'll be getting the loot. Stand by.
The Great Train Robbery is one of the highlights of this friendly competition.
I got the loot.
The scene is from a 12-minute movie released in 1903 and remembered as the first Great Western. The baby snatcher scene is a favorite too.
It involves a flying buzzard on a cable, flies down, and it has in its claws a baby doll. We call it the baby snatchers. You have to shoot the flying buzzard, and then it releases its claws and drops the baby, but you have to time it so that the baby drops back into the cradle. So it's a little bit of a timing thing. It's fun to watch, and when someone does it, everybody cheers.
A case of baby dolls ensures an endless supply of do-overs for bad aim.
We don't have a penalty for shooting the baby, actually. Maybe we should think about that.
The belts full of shotgun shells, the old cowboy smokes, and names from a dustier era set you back in time. But the modern-day safety glasses, the earplugs, and the gun carts remind you that you're really in the 21st century, where safety rather than survival is the law of the land.
Nice shot. Good job.
One of the biggest rules is treat every gun like it's loaded, so never point it at someone else.
The shooters load their shells light so they don't shred the targets, but they're loaded nonetheless. One careless move with live ammunition is match disqualification. Organizers spend 3 weeks analyzing angles and stage movement with safety in mind.
Everything is geared on safety. Will someone trip over that sagebrush? Is moving the gun here a proper position? Will this be safe? Everything is super analyzed before we even come to the shoot.
So when the 100 or so wild Westerners show up to shoot, the competition fires off without a hitch. And you quickly realize that the Old West will never really die. There are just too many folks of all ages who won't let that happen.
It might look embarrassing to dress up like a cowboy and to go shoot, but it is a lot of fun.
Getting into this sport is not cheap. The shootout guns and the get-up can set you back about $2,000. But for folks who like to look the part on weekends, there's nowhere else they'd rather hang their hat. Or toot their horn.
A cowboy, as we see it, is someone who really likes to get together, shoot their firearms, fantasize a little bit about being in the Old West and kind of feel like you're in a movie, a John Wayne movie or something. It's just a neat social experience.
Just a good way to get out and have fun with friends and family.
Good shoot.
I hope it stays in the family.
As the sun sinks in the west, the lament of the coyote can be heard in the distance. And inside the Twin Butte gathering place, you can also hear the lament of the cowboy.
Now the longhorns are gone, and the drovers are gone, the Comanches are gone, the outlaws are gone, Geronimo's gone, and Sam Bass is gone, and the buffalo's gone, and the red wolf is gone. And they'd go, ooh, yip, ooh, yip, ooh.
Funding for Outdoor Idaho is made possible by the Friends of Idaho Public Television, by the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moores' legacy of helping to build the great state of Idaho, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.